I have worked for a company whereby I went and I negotiated wage freeze. That we don't want any increase for the next 1 year because we know if we get the increase, the workers there will lose their job. A portion of the workers will lose their job. That's leadership. And then when we went, we got the wage freeze. But the following year, in the oil and gas, things picked up. And the management now also felt, oh, these guys this was the sacrifice they made the previous year. And they did. But somebody outside can also feel that, oh, those leaders also sold out. But leadership is not about following the crowd. It's about you looking at the bend, understanding the dangers ahead, and trying to make sure that everybody's okay. But you don't expect everybody to like you.
Well, let's talk about people liking you or not liking you. May Day is around the corner. I mean, the Nigerian worker. What would you say about his state?
No, the Nigerian worker state right now is very pathetic. Things are tough. Last year we said it was tough. This year is going to be tough.
So the
this
government
year
that's supposed to take care of him, is not a labor that's supposed to protect him, is in quote selling him out.
Yeah. Now, if you use the word, you're using the word.
I use the word in quote.
In quote, because again, no, because there's one thing here. Because we are to inform people. We should not just be saying things because others are saying it. But the bottom line again is that you need to have your facts. When you use the word sell out, who are they selling? What are they buying? Because you need to ask yourself a fundamental issue. Now, look at what the workers are going through today. Tomorrow, Kaigama, the TUC president, and Ayuba Waba are also going to roll out the challenges that the Nigerian worker is facing. Now, we are going to be having fuel queues every quarter, whether you like it or not, until certain things are done. And who bears the brunt? The Nigerian worker. And you expect him to be very productive. He leaves his house and go queue at the filling station, and he may not get back to the following day. How do you expect him to be productive? Then the next thing he has to think, first he has to think of fuel, he has to think of how the kids will go to school, he has to think of how he's going to convey them to school, and he's in the office, he's thinking, are they safe? What is happening? So the Nigerian worker takes all of this heat. But when you don't make welfare available, let me just give you an idea of how the movement, the thinking is. When there are no welfare, no buffer for all of these challenges, that is when the worker resorts to give me the money. If there's a buffer, in the Nordic countries, the worker your salary is taxed by 50%. Yes. But the workers are not complaining. You tax my salary by 50%. I get free health care. My kids go to very good qualitative school. I don't need to look for a private school for them to go to. Transportation is heavily subsidized. So why is the man going to come and say, and then you want to do an increase, you say, okay, your increase per annum will not exceed inflation rate. So if inflation rate is in single digit, you know that your increase is also going to be in single digit. So why will you want to go on strike? Why will you want to fight? And then you also know that those in authority are responsible enough to make sure that things go round and everybody is happy. It's not that the workers are begging, but I think it's in the spirit of enlightened self-interest. That those who have make it easier for those who don't have to also live a minimum to have that minimum standard of living.
Let me take you back to what you said a few minutes ago about the negotiation that you had for wage freeze.
Yeah.
Many workers have been laid off.
Yeah.
The economy is not buoyant, so concerns have shut down and have had to lay off their workers. This increase, this minimum wage that we're talking about, is it not possible that it's going to cause more layoffs?
Now, you have to look at it from two ways. Why are people laying off? First thing is that most times we just see, oh, somebody is laying off. But first thing you have to find out, why are they laying off? What is the policy direction that is responsible for this layoff? Why is the economy in a straitjacket? And then you now move to, okay, what do we have to do to get the economy out of the jacket, out of the straitjacket that is in? But most times what we do is that we try to address the symptom without going straight to what is responsible for where we are. Now, if you also now say 18,000 naira, let's look at the profit margin of majority of these companies that we're talking about. Because we don't ask enough questions, and then it's easier for people to get away with anything they do here. If you want to lay off in other parts of the world, even in Angola, If you want to lay off, there is a bank, I don't want to, it's an international bank, I don't want to mention the name, that is across. What the layoff, when they laid off Nigerian workers working in that bank, and what they paid a Nigerian, the counterpart in Angola, was 5 times what they paid the one in Nigeria. Why? Because the Angola, their laws protect the worker to make sure that before you exit, you lay him off, XYZ must be done. So people here know that hire and fire, when you fire, you just get away with it. Nothing will happen. So most times you find out that people can just wake up, oh, the economy is this way, okay, let's get rid of 1,000 people. Because the law doesn't protect the workers. So it takes
us back to the issue of legislation.
Exactly. Now you look at the Federal Minister of Labour. Ordinarily, you expect the Federal Minister of... I'm not saying the Federal Minister of Labour should come and... Because for you to belong to the union, the company must survive. I'm not saying the Federal Minister of Labour should also ensure that, oh, kill the company. No. But what we're saying is that the Federal Minister of Labour, there should be enough legislature. That legislature that will also make it more difficult for you to just lay off people. Because when you also look at the cost of laying off, if I know that I'm laying XYZ off, and all I need to give to him is 1 month's salary. So why would I not? I would do that.
I have heard of a number of companies who want to lay off but can't afford to lay off because they don't have the funds to pay the workers off.
How many of those companies, you look at it, you say, how many of those companies, how many are they? What is the percentage? That's key. And that is also where I know that the union, especially the industrial unions, NSC, TUC, these are the umbrella unions. There are some unions where their members look forward to being laid off. Yes. Yes. They look at it, they just, okay, fine. They just
the pay.
Yes, they just look at it, fine. I've been here for 10 years and I want to go. There are some companies, I know that specifically in the oil and gas, whereby when you stay 10 years, then you can tell management whether you want to continue or you don't want to continue. So there are also people who just feel, okay, fine, I'm going to take this. And then there are some companies who also come to you and say, okay, Alero, your payoff is supposed to be 1 naira, but I'm offering you 1 naira 50 kobo to go. And Alero, jump at it, I want to go. So that now comes to, that's why I also talk about the need for our industrial unions to also make sure that a lot of these things are put in place. In terms of make it, when it comes to negotiation, it's a lot easier in the oil and gas, whereby you have Pengasin, you have Nupeng, and they have all the various machinery to make your life uncomfortable. If you don't want to stick to the terms of
and they do.
If you don't want to stick to the terms of your agreement. But over the time, these unions have suffered, they've paid a price. When people start hearing Nupeng and Pengasin, if those who work in the oil and gas 40, 45, 50 years ago tell you their story, it's terrible. But that is also how they evolve. So it's not left for other unions to also involve. But then the Ministry of Labour must go a step further to ask, why are you laying off? And then I am also a supporter that, okay, fine, if you look at everything, if there are rules, you make sacrifice for the company to survive for another 1 year, I will support that. I have done that when I was president. I asked myself, I said, okay, fine. If we don't allow you, if we are asking for XYZ amount. So if you can't pay, what can you pay? And if you pay, can you give us guarantee that you are not going to lay off another 2 years? And if you get those guarantees, you can also live with that.